Part 107. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1071. Although the Nine Palaces' immovable formation was breached, Wu Yu would not sit still and wait for death. With the green fluorescent light filling the sky and constantly hitting his body, he turned to minimize the changes in his body, showing the most flexible state. Since he couldn't block it, he relied on his extreme speed to dodge. With the support of the powerful Xuanhuan Li, his speed has greatly increased, and with the help of somersault cloud and divine walking technique, Wu Yu is now as fast as the human world at more than 3 times the speed of Fa Tianxiang did. Not only is he fast, and is small in size. When the largest body cannot block the bombardment of the firefly, when it becomes smaller, the firefly has nothing to do. The speed of its fireflies was not satisfactory, and there were many of them. However, the rounds of bombing failed to hit Wu Yu. Of course, Wu Yu also has his own troubles, because these countless fireflies are actually exactly the same. They are not clones of the firefly puppets, but their attacks. However, the appearance of the two looks exactly the same, and the fireflies are also surrounded by this kind of fireflies. Fireflies. Due to the special nature of this firefly, it is difficult for ordinary people to find which one of the fireflies in the sky is the true body of the firefly. Even with his sharp eyes, Wu Yu didn't notice it for the time being. After all, the distance was a bit far and the puppet was hidden quite deep. Wu Yukong has devastating fighting power. At this time, because of the special nature of the puppet, he had to suppress his impatience and search for the puppet's body bit by bit. Those fireflies would not disappear before they hit Wu Yu. So the number of fireflies remained unchanged, they were just flying up and down to attack Wu Yu. Wu Yu and the firefly can be said to restrain each other. This type of puppet is not like the iron-winged 7-star insect that confronts Wu Yu head-on. Instead, it has special means. This type of puppet is very strong and can go beyond the limit. But if a weakness is found, it will be easier. For example, now, Wu Yu only needs to find its true body, and he thinks it will be much easier. However, he has the speed to shuttle among the countless fireflies to find the real body with his fiery eyes. Others cannot, especially the huge monsters. Fireflies are their nemesis. Under normal circumstances, a bombardment of fireflies can definitely let all the demons at the 6th level of the Dao realm rest. Therefore, for now, Wu Yu himself is just the type to restrain this firefly. In this stalemate, he narrowly dodged the fireflies that were constantly attacking him several times to search for the firefly's true body. This was a long and boring task. Once he lost patience or lost concentration, it would be easy to let him down. The firefly hit. Wu Yu had withstood the power of the firefly. It was indeed quite painful. Especially after the hit, there was a short period of paralysis. It was difficult to move and his whole body was numb. While he was numb, other fireflies the fire will attack one after another, making people more and more numb until they are bombarded to death. Wu Yu originally thought that it would be easy to solve the puppet, but he still struggled with it for 3 days. Finally, he got a chance and used his sharp eyes to find the true body of the firefly. It was really hidden deep enough. Wu Yu didn't say anything, and directly first used the fiery eyes of the fire wonderland to trap it between the flames of heaven and earth. Then, the 9 tribulations burning heaven-shattering prison quickly and accurately hit the firefly. Its defense level was similar to that of the iron-winged 7-star insect, which was not considered a strong point. Therefore, it was hit by Wu Yu's current power and was immediately shattered. The entire magic was shattered. The array completely collapsed, and it will probably take a few days to be completely repaired. But no matter what, Wu Yu was still very satisfied. After all, he had succeeded. It can be expected that this firefly puppet will definitely help him a lot, especially in this ancient soul tower. Wu Yu began to understand the characteristics and magic circle of this firefly. At this time, he actually considered the 7th level puppet. The puppet was in the black magic circle. Wu Yu took a few glances at it. The black light completely enveloped its body. He could not see it clearly, but he could vaguely feel it. Its terrifying aura. Wu Yu thought for a while and decided to forget it. He knew that there was no certainty for the time being, and it could be successful completely depending on the body. In addition, he could clearly feel that the power of the 9 tribulations furnace burning heaven pillar was not enough this time, and the spiritual Taoist artifact was not enough. During his use, it collapsed a bit, and now there are many cracks on the surface. These are the reasons that restrict his current combat effectiveness, so he has temporarily given up challenging the puppet equivalent to the 7th level of the Dao realm. As for the 5th level puppet, it is called Silver Moon Mantis. Because Wu Yu has defeated the 6th level puppet, he can directly use the 5th level puppet. This Silver Moon Mantis is a completely offensive puppet, and it is different from the iron puppet. The winged 7-star insect is the opposite, and its speed is quite fast. Its forearms are 2 large knives, which can be swung extremely fast and have many attack and killing magic circles. As for this firefly puppet, its real name is actually Dream Firefly. If the Sword Spirit Master, the Halberd Spirit Master and the Bow Spirit Master are a series of puppets, then the iron-winged 7-star insect, Silver Moon Mantis and this Dream Firefly, it seems it's also a series. It's just that the latter series is stronger. It's also a bit more complicated. The main magic circle of Fantasy Firefly is the Endless Firefly Array, which is the main body of this puppet. There are 2 applications on top of the Endless Fireflies Array. One of them is the Firefly's God-killing array. This is the same array that he used to attack Wu Yu before. Countless fireflies fell overwhelmingly, and it really has the posture and effect of killing gods. There is another application, called the Firefly Space Array, which is also a variation of the Endless Firefly Array. When it is running, countless fireflies can be separated between heaven and earth, but this effect is different from the Firefly God-killing array. This array has not been demonstrated by the Dream Fireflies, and Wu Yu is not particularly clear for the time being, but he estimates that it has a certain relationship with the Kinkan space, and he needs to spend time to figure out how to use this array. This chapter is not yet finished. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. In short, this Dream Firefly is a puppet that he is very satisfied with. After conquering it, it has brought him quite good combat power. Although he still can't defeat the existence of Yu Daizi, who stands at the top of the ancient Soul Tower, he can really walk sideways when he meets others. He was originally at the bottom of the ancient Soul Tower, but now, he can be compared with those old guys who have practiced Taoism for hundreds of years, such as Chu Yin, Ling Han, and others. Even surpass. After changing the body of Devouring the Sky back from the floating life tower, most of the day has passed outside. If the body of the Devouring Heaven can improve, then my combat power can continue to improve, Wu Yu realized. However, he was not in a hurry. The combat power of the body of the Devouring Heaven depends entirely on the main body. Now that the main body has improved, the strength of the body of the Devouring Heaven is only a matter of time, and it can even be at any time, because even in this ancient Soul Tower, there is no shortage of opponents that can be killed. At least there are many gods of all things here. Coming out, Emperor Le and the others were still wandering around the 2nd level of the Soul Tower. As expected, Emperor Yu was still quietly following them, but Emperor Le and the others could not see it. Wu Yu looked around. Now there are basically few people in the 2nd level of the Soul Tower. Those who can't go up are all in the 1st level, and those who can go up, basically all go up. He thinks it's time to go up. During the time when Wu Yu conquered the Fantasy Fireflies, Le Daizi met someone from the Yanhuang clan. He asked about it and learned that it seemed that someone had reached the 8th level, and the Yanhuang gold pearl seemed to have appeared several times in the middle, but no one could get it. Instead, it set off a bloody storm. It is said that fighting was very fierce everywhere on the upper level. After a period of conflict, but no one managed it, people are no longer as humble as they were at the beginning. Especially between the Yanhuang clan and foreign races, there are always conflicts. The person Le Dizzy asked about was scared by the fight on the upper level and ran down to seek refuge. According to him, the Yanhuang gold pearl has appeared on almost every level, so it is better to come down, maybe the probability will be higher. This also makes sense, but Wu Yu still thinks that the higher up and the more crowded the place, the more the ancient emperor wants it to appear, so he still has to go up. Now that he has conquered the puppet on the 6th level, he is ready to go up with Le Dizzy and others. However, the sea of fire in the sky is not an easy place to cross. Wu Yu is fine, but Le Dizzy and the others still have some problems. After all, their realm is increasing rapidly, but they lack some Taoist magic. The two discussed for a while. Since Emperor Yu was going to follow them, they might as well use him. So Emperor Yu said, "Brother, since you are going with us, why don't you show up? We want to go up to the 3rd level of the Soul Tower. I wonder if you can help." He has the celestial artifact Ancient Soul Cauldron, so it is not a problem to take Wu Yu and the others up. After asking, Emperor Yu waited calmly, and just as he expected, Emperor Yu really appeared in front of him, smiling and said, "Xiao Yu doesn't dislike me. As a brother, of course I have no choice but to help." His current strange state is indeed unpredictable, but fortunately he is still very straightforward. This time he once again involved everyone in the Ancient Soul Cauldron, and then rushed up quickly. In fact, he had been up and down the Ancient Soul Tower a long time ago. For him, going up now is quite a simple matter, after all, it is only to the 3rd level. I heard from the Yanhuang tribe that the 3rd level is a forest with tall ancient trees. It looks safer than the first 2 levels, but it is actually many times more dangerous. Many of those ancient trees are gods of all things, but they are hard to tell. They often suddenly attack and scare people. There are also other gods of all things. When Wu Yu came to this world, he found that it was true. They appeared in a vast forest, endless, with endless trees everywhere, directly from the ground to the sky, and in the sky there was a green gale, blowing fiercely. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1072. It has been more than a month in Fengguo Tianyuntai. However, the top beings who stayed here are still very patient. In the past, they would have gone back by now. Now, because of the Ancient Soul Tower, the heartstrings of the entire Yama world are tense. Although many people are not on the scene, they will know anything that happens on the mirror in a very short time, even in remote sea areas. Nowadays, there are a total of 8 mirrors around the Ancient Soul Tower that are lit, and there are figures in them. The content inside is constantly changing, and anyone may become the protagonist in this mirror. Only the 9th mirror is now dark. Among the envoys of all nations, those who stayed here are either young boys and girls or the top beings. Now they are all watching the contents of the 8 mirrors and chatting occasionally. On the other side, there are still many people from the Yanhuang tribe here, but basically they don't talk much and their faces are more solemn. The reason for the solemnity is that in recent times, it is obvious that the conflict inside has become much more serious. Some people even killed people in a hurry. The fact of killing is fully presented here, and everyone in the world is watching. This account will definitely be settled in the future, so there will be quarrels between the two sides of the confrontation on this Fengguo Tianyun platform. Of course, most of them are concentrated between foreigners and the Yanhuang people. Now there are fewer words, all because the conflict inside is fierce. The only one who can stay out of it and don't care is probably the Shenlong clan. None of them entered the Ancient Soul Tower, so there will be no conflict with others. However, it can be seen that Luo Ben is still watching very seriously and staring. From the beginning to now, Wu Yu only appeared for a while at the beginning, and then there was no news at all. With his strength, it is estimated that he is active in the first and second levels. Because he can't reach a higher position, there is nothing bright, the refining demon dragon said behind Luo Bin. Maybe Luo Bin nodded slightly. She knew that Wu Yu had no advantage in this ancient soul tower, so it was normal that he had no chance to shine. On the contrary, Princess Huang 11 appeared in the mirror many times. It seems that the ancient emperor pays close attention to her. Although she is protected by many demon kings, she is indeed brave and courageous. Last time, she almost got the Yanhuang gold pearl, the refining god demon dragon continued. That one, Luo Bin knew her, Nangong Wei. Wu Yu briefly told her about her situation before, and she didn't ask much. Now talking about her, Luo Bin didn't want to say much. Tell me the truth, are you waiting for him to come out safely, or to get the Yanhuang gold pearl? The latter, I think it is almost impossible. Luo Bin's eyes did not change, still looking at the 8 mirrors, and said, be safe. As for the Yanhuang gold pearl, it is indeed unlikely, especially after seeing several fierce competitions. In such a chaotic situation, it is already very good to be able to save your life. Among the envoys of all countries, there are also several groups gathered together, and they obviously have better relationships. I think the Unezu Shenjun of the Demon Heaven clan is good. He started from scratch and had an adventure. He is younger than the son of Emperor Yu, and his achievements are not inferior to those of Emperor Yu. He has a cold and low-key personality. He appeared in the mirror several times and showed a very detached attitude. It is possible that he got the Yanhuang gold pearl. That depends on whether the ancient emperor is willing to let him get it. Let's wait and see. Although I trust the ancient emperor, I still think that the Yanhuang clan will always have more opportunities. For example, the son of Emperor Yu and the son of Emperor Xiao are not bad either. The daughter of Emperor 11 almost got the Yanhuang gold pearl. I don't think so. A lot of people from the Yanhuang tribe went in, but the number of the top ones is much less than the total number of our envoys from all nations. The opportunities are equal. For example, the Li Qiaojun of the Tianyao Empire is not bad. His original body is the Julai giant demon. At a young age, he was appointed to lead a quarter of the land of the Tianyao Empire. Then the leader of the Qinjian Legion of the Jinyao Central Empire, Ming Qinjian, is not bad either. Although she is from the Jinyao Central Empire, she is not from the Jinyao tribe, but from the Qingming tribe, which is relatively rare in the country. But he fought his way out of a bloody battle and was admired by the people of the Jinyao Central Empire. His strength was quite terrifying. He was also the most outstanding genius at this age. When he was about 100 years old, he was also the strongest among the young people. Uneizu Shenjun? Julai giant demon? And this Ming Qinjian? Speaking of which, I think there are too many of this level in the entire Yama world. You have also ignored a lot of sea monsters, such as the Eternal Life Sea, the Dead Sea, the Antarctic Vortex, the Arctic Black Ice, etc. There are many sea monsters of this level in the sea. I estimate that the 8th level of the 3 disasters asking the way realm is at least there are less than 20 people, and among them, the son of Emperor Yu is not the top one. The only thing that can be confirmed is that among them, the one who did not survive the 3rd disaster and reached the 9th level is. As for who can get the Yanhuang gold pearl, wait and see. Anyway, it seems to me that it is almost done. After all, several people in these few times are very close to success. Perhaps except for Luo Bin, they have forgotten Wu Yu. After all, in there, it is the world of cultivators who have practiced Taoism for at least 400 years. Wu Yu, who has less than 100 years, is cannon fodder in there. It is already very good to be alive. Basically, if there is no strong person to protect you, you can only stay in the 1st level. As for Emperor Keiru, he has naturally been forgotten. Anyone can see that in this challenge, Emperor Kairu actually has no advantage at all. Therefore, the rumor that the ancient emperor valued Emperor Kairu has stopped attacking him. Broken. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Moreover, the envoys from all nations did not think that the emperor's sons and daughters could obtain the Yanhuang gold pearl and obtain the position of Yanhuang emperor. Huangzun looked at the 8 mirrors with a smile on his face. I think whoever lights up the 9th mirror may get the flame golden pearl, Huangzun said calmly to the demon lords around him. After wandering around in this 3rd level for half a day, Wu Yu encountered many gods of all things. In short, any tree around could become a god of all things at any time, just like the rock turtle in the 2nd level. It's just that this time the number is huge. For 3 days, Emperor Yu was still around. He did not influence Wu Yu's actions, but followed them like a maggot attached to his bones, making Wu Yu and others very uncomfortable. In these 3 days, Wu Yu mainly understood the magic circle of the dreamy fireflies. Finally, on this day, the dreamy fireflies that he smashed in the floating tower had been fully restored, and Wu Yu had long been with the emperor. They said hello. I am confident that I can get rid of Emperor Yu. When they heard Wu Yu's words, they were all excited. In fact, they had already formed the habit of taking Wu Yu as the leader. You try, but if you don't get rid of him, we can't do anything, Emperor Kairu said. As they were walking in the dense forest, Wu Yu suddenly stopped. He released the dreamy fireflies in the floating tower, and the fireflies flew around them. So beautiful, the girl was already fascinated by the beauty of the fireflies. But at this time, the firefly quickly expanded, and then surrounded Wu Yu and others. Next to Wu Yu was the body of the firefly, forming a space around its body. This space was very stable. Then, the dreamy fireflies began to split, and the splitting speed was very fast. On one side, like dandelion seeds, they slowly floated up and went around. In the blink of an eye, thousands of them were divided. This is the firefly space array, which is also based on the endless firefly array. Unlike the firefly god-killing formation, the firefly god-killing formation has a limit to its divisions, and will eventually stop at tens of thousands. However, this firefly space formation has no limit, and can even continue to divide indefinitely, unless dream fireflies stop on its own. Every firefly that branches out will continue to divide into 3, 1 into 3, or even 1 into 3, and into 4. The speed at which the fireflies expand in the forest is simply terrifying. In a short moment, they have covered a large area of the forest. The difference from the fireflies' god-killing formation is that these fireflies don't actually have any attack power, but they are large in number and cannot be easily dispersed. The space where Wu Yu and others are located is just a tiny firefly among them. For a brief moment, the fireflies flew to all the distances, and then continued to divide. If you look at it from above, there are already endless fireflies covering the forest. When Emperor Yu appeared at the place where Wu Yu and the others started, at that moment, he could only smile bitterly, because he had no idea which of the tens of millions of fireflies that were still growing rapidly was where Wu Yu and the others were hiding. In short, Wu Yu and the others have completely left the control of Emperor Yu. They are floating into the distance in a firefly, completely getting rid of Emperor Yu. Of course, maintaining so many fireflies is difficult for the puppets. It was a huge consumption, so after successfully escaping from Emperor Yu's son, Wu Yu dismantled the magic circle, and suddenly, the endless fireflies between heaven and earth disappeared in an instant. Although the time was short, it is estimated that many people have come into contact with fireflies and are curious about what they are. In fact, Wu Yu didn't know that at that moment, the 3rd mirror outside changed several times, and green light groups appeared around the protagonist inside. People outside also saw it inexplicably, including Luo Bin. Of course she didn't know that this had anything to do with Wu Yu. finally got rid of him. The emperor laughed and couldn't help but praise, "You are really powerful. It's so frustrating to let that guy follow you." This time, it's their turn to perform. Chapter 3. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1073. According to Wu Yu's speculation, it is actually very difficult for those who are not the strongest to go up to the 6th level or above. So the 4th and 5th levels of the Soul Tower should have the most people. Of course, there are some exceptions, such as Princess Yuxiang's team, which is led by the Shadow King. It is estimated that they will not have any problem going up to the 7th and 8th levels. The 3rd level of the Soul Tower has a slightly smaller number of people, but there are actually quite a few cultivators. When Emperor Yu was there before, Wu Yu and his team had encountered them several times. However, the most encountered are the gods of all things. Some of the towering ancient trees around are real, and some are fake. The gods of all things are hidden, but they may attack passers-by at any time. Several times, Xuanhuan and his team were entangled and almost strangled to death. It was Wu Yu who saved them. With the strength of Emperor Yu and his team, it is not particularly safe to walk in the 3rd level of the Soul Tower. But Wu Yu insisted on staying in the 3rd level of the Soul Tower and not going up for the time being. That's because many gods of all things mean a lot of corpses. Wu Yu collected the bodies of these gods and put them into the sumi bag. Although the tree-type gods were stiff and not delicious, they were also a kind of power after all, especially the body of the devouring heaven, which was close to a god of all things, so it could still be swallowed. In order to avoid being seen by outsiders, Wu Yu brought the sumi bag filled with many corpses of gods to the tower, and then let the devouring heaven swallow them, and the devouring heaven slowly became stronger. After all, the effect of the gods of all things is still a little worse than the blood and flesh essence of demons, and for Wu Yu now, these tree gods of all things are not too strong. Although the devouring heaven body becomes stronger slowly, Wu Yu estimates that at the current speed, it will only take 10 days for the devouring heaven body to grow to the level of combat power equivalent to the main body. At that time, the main body plus the devouring heaven body plus the puppet may really fight against the 7th level of the realm of asking questions. In that case, the entire ancient Soul Tower will really go sideways. Emperor Yu and his companions did not understand why Wu Yu was still wandering around the 3rd level. They wanted to go to a higher place, where the flame gold pearl appeared the most. So far, it has been reported that many people have seen it twice on the 5th level and twice on the 4th level. As for the 3rd level, it only appeared once in the early days. The last time it appeared was on the 5th level. But normal people would estimate that the 6th, 7th, and 8th levels may appear more often, but no one knows it for the time being. For example, no one knows about the time when Wu Yu saw the flame gold pearl alone. Emperor, do you want to tell Wu Yu to go up? Our strength is enough to continue going up, Xuanhuan secretly said to Emperor Yu. Don't say anything more. Wu Yu knows his limits. Although he continued to fight with the gods of all things with Wu Yu, Emperor Yu was still patient. Maybe he felt that the key to winning the flame gold pearl was Wu Yu. In the 3rd level of the Soul Tower, the smallest tree has a trunk diameter of more than 10 feet. You can't see the tree tops when you look up, let alone the thicker ones, which directly penetrate into the sky. If you hollow out the trunk, you can build a huge city. Basically, they are all single trees. And above the forest, you can hear a terrifying gale. The gale is colored, like a bunch of green swords. There are billions of them, constantly cutting above the forest, so no matter how tall the trees are originally, when they grow to the gale layer, the part that grows up will be cut off. Crossing this green wind layer is the 4th level of the Soul Tower. Now Xuanhuan, Xu Fengjiao, and others are eager to go up, because they think that at least 2 levels above is the most lively place, and it is also the place where they are most likely to get the Yanhuang gold pearl. As for the decision-making power of the team, it was Wu Yu, not Le Daizi, who had some ideas, but Wu Yu's strength made them speechless. In addition, Le Daizi trusted Wu Yu very much, so they continued to consume in the third level of the Soul Tower. In the third level of the Soul Tower, the most common ones were the second and third level cultivators of the Dao realm, who had basically cultivated for more than 200 years. If they were in the Yuanshen realm, they would not come here without the guidance of their elders. Basically, the Yuanshen realm was left in the first level of the Soul Tower and could not come up at all. If cultivators of this level dared to challenge Wu Yu and his team, they would basically be easily crushed. During this period, the only thing Wu Yu did was to explore, and then encounter various gods of all things, fight with them, defeat his opponents, and then continue to move forward. There were too many gods of all things disguised as trees in this forest. In fact, the reason why Xuanhuan and his friends wanted to quickly reach the fourth level of the Soul Tower was because they were often attacked by the trees of the gods of all things. They were suddenly entangled with countless vines and were almost strangled. In the end, Wu Yu still protected them in the 7-star Guardian formation. At least the Iron Wing 7-star bug was equivalent to the fourth level of the Way of Asking, which was more than enough to protect them. It was a bit of a blow to their self-confidence. After all, they finally reached the realm of asking for the way, thinking that they had ascended to heaven in one step. As a result, in this ancient Soul Tower, as long as they reached the second level or above of the Soul Tower, they were still the weakest group. As a result, after a few days, although they didn't say it, their expressions were still quite ugly, and they asked Le Daizi several times whether they should continue to go up. They felt that it was impossible to get the Yanhuang gold pearl if they wandered around here. Of course, Wu Yu's purpose was to cultivate his sky-devouring body. During this period of time, he, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi killed hundreds of trees of all gods. These trees had different shapes and types. There are trees everywhere, some are even made of steel, and some are made of jade, but they are basically all gods born from heaven and earth. Many of them basically have no wisdom, but their combat power is actually very strong, and they containing a large amount of the essence of heaven and earth. This kind of spirit born from heaven and earth is purer than the demons and monks who have been cultivated the day after tomorrow, and is more beneficial to the body that swallows the sky. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Basically devouring these millions of gods, the sky-swallowing body has grown to a level equivalent to between the 5th and 6th levels of the Dao realm. Wu Yu's current body and soul realm can completely control this realm, so this sky-swallowing behemoth still has some room to grow. Wu Yu estimates that it will swallow at least 100 similar gods of all things, so he estimates that he will have to stay here for a few days. He knew that Emperor Yu was also a little anxious, but he still felt that strengthening one's own strength was the key to snatching it. It had been so long now, and they had not been able to snatch the flame golden pearl, not even in the past few days. Is the world inside the Soul Tower endless? After walking for so many days, there is no end at all. Nanshan Wanjiao stood on a high place and looked around. In the past few days, I haven't encountered anyone who came up to provoke me at the risk of my life. There are many people similar to the 7 young masters of the Demon City, but when they meet the current Wu Yu and the others, they can only be considered unlucky. Stop! Wu Yu was moving forward attentively in front. He suddenly stopped and asked everyone to stop. It can be seen that at this time, his eyes were shining with golden light. He was now using fiery eyes and golden eyes. Under the projection, everyone looked forward and saw a small tree in the jungle of countless giant trees ahead. It is said to be a small tree, but it is compared with other giant trees. At least the diameter of the trunk is as thick as 5 feet and as high as 1,000 feet. In other places, there are skyscrapers, but here they are like shrubs under the big trees in the forest. Of course, the most special thing about this tree is not its small size, nor the fact that it has no leaves, only densely packed branches that spread out like a head, but its color. This is a blood red tree. It is the same color as blood, and you can even see blood flowing on its surface. Moreover, the surface of the trunk does not look like rough bark, but rather like a kind of flesh and blood. Apart from the lack of facial features, it doesn't look like a tree anymore, but it has a strong scent of trees, especially the overall outline and appearance. Of course, in Wu Yu's fiery eyes, its true identity is the god of all things. It is different from the previous gods of trees and creatures. It is very strong and is a bit like the king of this huge forest, waiting here for Wu Yu to appear. There was even a strong smell of evil and blood on his body. Wu Yu remembered that, for example, in the first level of the Soul Tower, there were ordinary dark gold ants, but there were also golden scorpions. The golden scorpions were much stronger than the ants. The relationship between this blood tree and ordinary gods and trees is just like the golden scorpion and the dark golden ant. Moreover, Wu Yu had a feeling that he was being targeted. It was not that he met the blood tree here, but that the blood tree found him and was waiting for him here. When it found Wu Yu, he was undoubtedly excited. Yes, of course Wu Yu was also excited. His sky-devouring body lacked all gods as powerful as this blood tree as food. The two sides met here, and the battle would undoubtedly break out. Only then did Emperor Zi and the others see it. Someone immediately exclaimed, "Run away quickly, this god of all things is much stronger. It looks so disgusting, so scary, go away. You go first, we will learn how to do it. Just wait for us at a distance for a while." Wu Yu would not let Emperor Yu get involved in the battle. After all, it was quite dangerous for them. He chose to use 7 stars. The Guardian Array led them away first. Remembering that the third level of the Soul Tower here might not be safe with the 7-star Guardian Array, Wu Yu asked the Silver Moon Mantis to follow them. There were Silver Moon Mantises and iron-winged 7-star insects guarding them. They are basically fine, and Wu Yu can concentrate on dealing with this blood tree. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1074. Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao, and Yazixi, the 3 siblings, together with the lit dream firefly, quietly approached the blood tree. At this time, the blood tree did not move, but it was obvious that if Wu Yu and his friends chose to escape, it would catch up. Xuanhuan, R.A.N.E.N. It has been a while since I met a truly capable opponent. All those before were not enough today. I hope this bird tree can hold up against Grandpa's tactics for a while longer. Nanshan Wanjiao's eyes were bright. He was impatient now. The ancient emperor's preaching allowed him to directly reach the realm of asking questions, forming a huge leap forward. With his 9-turn emperor immortal body plus the magical powers of heavenly domain, no trace, rebirth flowers and trees, and mirror flowers and water moon, as well as the phantom demon eye, it seemed that there was no problem in crossing 5 levels to fight against the 6th level of the realm of asking questions. Of course, facing the top level all things spirit of the 3rd level of the Soul Tower, you still have to be careful. Wu Yu remembered that the golden scorpion in the 1st level was quite tough, a big level higher than the dark gold ant. By the way, we know that the flame gold pearl appeared twice before, once on the tail of the golden scorpion and once on the belly of the rock turtle. Is it possible that it appeared on the blood tree? Yazixi said, flickering like a ghost. She has recently cultivated the demon shadow black sand to a relatively high level, and has many means of transformation. Moreover, her pet Wanhe cat has always been very powerful. Even now, it can make her equivalent to the 3rd level of the realm of asking questions. With the purple palace energy of the 10-wheeled Ksitigarbha ghost nerve after the transformation, it is not a problem to take down the 5th level of the realm of asking questions. Yazixi's words reminded Wu Yu that it is possible that the ancient emperor likes to place the flame gold pearl on the body of a living thing. Therefore, he scanned the blood tree again. At least there was nothing to find from the front. Of course, he now thinks that the possibility of the flame gold pearl still being in the third level is not high, unless the ancient emperor really wants to send the flame gold pearl to him. In a blink of an eye, the three of them, plus the dreamy firefly, had already entered the range of the branches of the blood tree. The top of the trunk of the blood tree had countless branches, like blood-colored hair, or blood-colored venomous snakes, and each branch seemed to be independent. At this time, it was swaying slowly, and even made a hissing sound, which made people feel creepy. Wu Yu clearly felt the majestic power of the essence of heaven and earth on the blood tree. Be careful, this golden scorpion encountered in the first level is much stronger, he warned. Okay, Nanshan Wanjiao once again used his higher and higher realm of Tianyu Wahi, and disappeared in an instant. Even Wu Yu found it difficult to find his location. Under such circumstances, it was quite advantageous for him to use his own magical powers and illusions. Yezixi has only been receiving immortal inheritance for a short time, but her temperament has changed dramatically. The hell reincarnation body makes her temperament colder and calmer, and adds some mysterious flavor to her, as if her body is like a whirlpool of a stage, and that body will suck people into hell. This feeling is strengthening, indicating that her future space is still very large. The nine-turn Emperor immortal body and the Hell reincarnation body are different from the Vajra indestructible body. They are not absolutely tyrannical, but they are more interesting in characteristics. Nanshan Wanjiao's temperament is becoming more and more upright and more out of this world, as if a banished immortal has come to the world, spotless, handsome and carefree, and even has the posture of an emperor among immortals, which is of course very different from his personality. Yezixi is completely the opposite. Although she feels like a hell ghost, she is very pure, just like the extremely pure darkness. You can see that her eyes are gradually turning gray recently, as if she feels very empty, but Wu Yu knows that in fact, she is still a relatively simple little girl in essence, but she is just carrying the hatred that makes her know the forbearance. 3 different bodies, 3 different temperaments. In front of the blood tree, this time he needed strength. Wu Yu directly used the immortal ape transformation and the law of heaven and earth, and transformed into a giant 6 feet tall. At least his current height was higher than the diameter of the blood tree. The burning pillar in his hand was burning with fire, and it seemed to have the power to cut the ancient tree in half. As for Nanshan Wanjiao, she had disappeared long ago. Yezixi was far away. She was not keen on fighting, but she would give Wu Yu some assistance if there was a suitable time. Today's battle might not be able to use her. As for the dreamy firefly, it was actually only the size of a thumb. It was flying above the ancient tree, waiting for Wu Yu's order to attack. So at this time, it seemed that only Wu Yu's body was in front of the blood tree and confronted the blood tree head-on. How strong the blood tree is, we have to wait until he takes action to know. When Wu Yu arrived at this position, he had already demonstrated his ability. When the golden fairy ape appeared in front of the blood tree felt uncomfortable. Suddenly, the countless branches in its crown, which were basically as thick as the burning heaven pillar in Wu Yu's hand, danced wildly, and set off an endless blood-colored wave, and then covered the sky and hit Wu Yu's body. The toughness of each branch is actually not much worse than that of the upper spiritual weapon. For a while, it crackled and snapped, and Wu Yu was already covered by the blood-colored branches. Whether it was up, down, left, right, or all other directions, there were almost branches hitting him, and the speed was also quite fast. Wu Yu was facing a crisis all of a sudden. However, Wu Yu still likes this kind of pure contact battle, rather than distant Taoist or magical bombardments. He is not slow either. Those canes are not absolutely fast in his eyes. His hands are not very fast. The burning sky pillar inside was not weak either. For a moment, the burning sky pillar with the 9 colored flames was just a phantom in his hand. Wu Yu played this burning sky pillar to the extreme. Those rat hands were fast, but Wu Yu's side was almost airtight. With his own physical power and Zi Mansion's UN power, every time the burning sky pillar collided with the bloody branch, the branch was directly shattered. Bang 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 bang. For a moment, you can see countless bloody branches exploding around Wu Yu. Occasionally, you can see branches hitting Wu Yu's body, causing large blood stains and even pulling out wounds. But Wu Yu's body is very strong and has top-notch recovery power. Others may have been beaten to death directly, but Wu Yu's flesh and blood body recovered quickly. Wu Yu can fully withstand such a violent attack. But what surprised them was that this blood tree also had terrible resilience. The branches that were broken by Wu Yu quickly continued to grow and become intact during the shaking process, and continued to join in the attack on Wu Yu. Obviously this blood tree is still rooted in the ground, as if it is sucking power from the earth. In this case, in this situation, the winner may depend on the endurance of the two people. Xuanhuan was obviously not worried, because his attacks never stopped from the beginning to the end. But not long after, its body suddenly burst, and a large number of green vines grew out of it. In fact, Nanshan Wanjiao is good at water and wood, and he is most familiar with this kind of opponent, so this green frenzy of flowers and trees in the past after it was displayed, in an instant, the blood tree's crazy branches were forced to stop, and there were quite a lot of green vines wrapped around its body, tightly locking its own branches. Nanshan Wanjiao's attack seemed to come from the invisible. Wu Yu got a chance to breathe. Naturally, without saying a word, he rushed forward and smashed the blood tree. With his speed, in the blink of an eye, more than a dozen huge gaps were opened in the blood tree. Wu Yu almost cut it in half in some places. The opening under the explosion did not look like a tree, but looked a bit like flesh and blood. At this time, the blood tree was very painful and quite angry. I don't know why it turned out. Hearing the other parties scream, at this sudden moment, his torso twisted crazily, and the power that burst out from nowhere actually tore apart the dead flowers and trees at Nanshan Wanjiao. Then suddenly, countless cracks appeared on its body, and thousands of bloody mouths appeared from them. This reminded Wu Yu of the thousand-eyed demonic tree in Nanyan demonic continent, but what appeared on this bloody tree were not eyes. Instead, there were thousands of bloody mouths. The scene was really scary. If the Emperor and the others were still here, they would definitely be trembling with fear. After all, this is a god of all things, and everything is possible. Wow! Immediately afterwards, countless bloody mists were spit out from these countless mouths. The bloody mist spread in all directions like a wave, and the movement was huge. Wu Yu and others were all enveloped in this mist. Very dangerous. Wu Yu took a look with his fiery eyes, and he didn't expect that the blood-colored mist was composed of blood-colored particles. The blood-colored particles were a bit like the robes of trees. They were indeed very small, but at this time they actually grew in the air, and then transformed into billions of particles. One's little thing, that little thing was very strange, a bit like a small blood tree, but its branches were like spikes. At this time, because of the huge number, it directly formed a blood-colored cloud and rushed towards Wu Yu. I want to penetrate Wu Yu. There is no doubt that these small blood trees are like thousands of iron nails coming at them, and their size is extremely small. Wu Yu estimates that if he is hit, these small blood trees will completely penetrate into his flesh and blood. Among them, the most terrifying thing is that it will absorb the essence of its flesh and blood and grow directly in the body. If the number is small, but countless of them are inserted, it is estimated that Wu Yu will turn into a mummy in a very short time. This was a quite terrifying attack. Even Nanshan Wanjiao felt it. He couldn't help shouting caution and asked Yezixi to avoid it first. After all, there were too many people. If it was in a densely populated place, this blood a single attack from the tree could kill or injure tens of thousands of cultivators below the UN Shen level. /U003 SEM /U003E. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: Mystery and Suspense, Ancient Tomb Horrors. Event: Final countdown to Online Literature League selection. Special topic: complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. \U003C/M/U003E. If Q.storage, read type, equal to \U0026/U0026, VIP chapter \U003C0, \U003CSCR plus zipped src equals add/v, 8 equals h5-01 \U003E \U003C/SCR plus zipped \U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1075. This blood cloud-like attack really made Wu Yu very afraid. Huo ran? When? R-A-N-E-N-O-R-G. This type of attack, even if he has an indestructible body, it is difficult to withstand it. This blood tree is more powerful than he imagined. It is estimated that in the third level of the Soul Tower, this blood tree is also a terrifying existence for many people. He is more worried that Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi will be attacked. This is enough to threaten their lives at the moment. Therefore, Wu Yu reacted quickly at this time. He changed to the smallest size according to the changes of the sky and the earth, and then retreated quickly. After all, his speed was fast enough. At the same time, he gave the dream firefly an order. The dream firefly itself was flying in the sky, not being noticed by the blood tree. At the moment when Wu Yu gave the order, the dream firefly suddenly grew larger and became a green fluorescent light in the sky, and then split at a terrifying speed. When Wu Yu finished his order and raised his head, the top of the blood tree looked like a green starry sky. The green fireflies were like stars, dense and increasing. Firefly God-killing formation. When the blood cloud approached Wu Yu, the firefly God-killing formation was activated, and countless green fireflies fell and exploded on the blood tree. Wu Yu still remembered clearly how powerful the fireflies were. They did not explode loudly, but they could fundamentally disintegrate. So when the blood tree used branches to resist, the branches were quickly shattered and the fireflies fell quickly. Wu Yu saw that the blood tree had many mouths, so he let the fireflies attack all of them, blocking those bloody mouths, and even directly attacking the inside of the blood tree. Pa pa pa. It can be seen that the mouth of the blood tree was completely broken under the attack of the fireflies, and many fireflies directly attacked its body from the mouth. This was the most terrible threat, causing the blood tree's body to constantly flash green fireflies. For a while, it let out a piercing scream, and then it was riddled with holes, and most of its body was dyed green. And Wu Yu clearly felt that when the mother body was severely damaged, the spores seemed to have lost their vitality and became a little soft and powerless, and could not catch up with Wu Yu's speed at all. Nanshan Wanjiao was invisible, so he was not attacked in the first place. As for Yezixi, he was far away, so there was no problem. Wu Yu felt relieved now. He turned back suddenly. Under the changes of the law of heaven and earth, his body instantly changed to the largest. The burning heaven pillar in his hand was burning with anger. With the help of the firefly god-killing formation, Wu Yu attacked continuously. The burning heaven pillar chopped the blood tree into several pieces from bottom to top. The blood tree fell to the ground in a wailing, and Wu Yu burned it with the fire absolute fairyland, and finally lost its voice. As for the blood clouds, after losing their mother body, they all seemed to be dead. They fell to the ground and formed a blood-colored ocean, covering many fallen leaves. Wu Yu said nothing, and directly picked up the body of the blood tree, put it into the Sumuru bag, and then transferred it to the floating life tower. When the devouring heaven body, which had been waiting for a long time, feasted on it, this blood tree feast was equivalent to a cultivator of the 6th level of the asking realm, or even higher, so it should be able to make the devouring heaven body truly reach the same level as Wu Yu's body, or even surpass it? In that case, Wu Yu's combat power is almost perfect. After this, we can go to the fourth level, Wu Yu said when Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi joined. I didn't expect this blood tree to be so powerful. The method just now almost caused me a lot of trouble, Nanshan Wanjiao said. This kind of battle is just the beginning. At least before the ancient Emperor Dao Palace, if we encounter this blood tree, we can only wait for death, Wu Yu said. They all know that the ancient Emperor Dao Palace has made them a huge progress. This makes Wu Yu, who has a certain hostility towards the ancient emperor, a little entangled. Of course, Yezixi will not. No matter what, she will only have hatred in her heart. The swallowing of the body of the swallowing sky is quite fast. It is estimated that it will be completed in a short time. Wu Yu is asking the 7-star guardian formation to send the emperor's son over, and then go up together. After all, the emperor's son and others have been waiting for a long time. Unexpectedly, on the way, Wu Yu felt that the 7-star guardian formation and the silver moon mantis were ambushed at the same time through the connection with the puppet. He was not clear about the situation for the time being, but it was very bad, because the opponent was very strong and well prepared, and the 7-star guardian formation was quickly broken, which meant that Le Daizi and his men were in danger. Although the silver moon mantis was next to him, it seemed to have been restrained by the opponent first, which meant that the opponent was definitely more than one person. Although the opponent was not able to kill the emperor in the ancient soul tower, Wu Yu still realized the trouble. Maybe our fight with the blood tree was too noisy, attracting others, and then they watched the battle from the outside and saw that Le Daizi and his men were not protected by me. This possibility flashed through Wu Yu's mind instantly. This should be more likely to exist. After all, the third level of the Soul Tower was very quiet. They made a big noise just now, which often attracted the surrounding cultivators or demons to come quietly. The most urgent thing now is to rush to the scene immediately. Wu Yu only said to the two of them, "The Emperor is in danger," and immediately got on the somersault cloud and rushed in that direction. Just now, in order to prevent the blood tree from hurting the Emperor, therefore, they were allowed to evade for a certain distance, and it was precisely because of this that others had an opportunity to take advantage of it. However, Wu Yu was very fast, and Nanshan Wanjiao and the others also caught up with him. After about 3 breaths, Wu Yu suddenly appeared to the scene. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. At this time, the silver moon mantis was still restrained, and the iron-winged 7-star insect had been beaten into a pile of rotten iron and could only be recovered by the floating life tower. When he arrived at this area, Wu Yu took a closer look and saw the situation at the scene. It's clear to everyone, but fortunately for the time being, it seems that the lives of Emperor Yu and others are not in danger. The 4 of them have been kidnapped for the time being. The person who hijacked them can be regarded as an old acquaintance in the ancient Soul Tower. Wu Yu glanced over and saw that Ling Han, the floating giant beast of the Necromancer clan, was easily facing the attack of the Silver Moon Mantis. Xian Xing and Xian Chen, the twin beauties of the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire, were with other monsters of the Necromancer clan. Together, as for their left side, Lei Bao, Lei Xing, Lei Ji, and Lei Hansheng of the Thunder Zi Lei Yuan clan were respectively hijacking the 4 people including Emperor Yu and trapping them completely in their own thunder. This time, although there was no thunder and lightning torture like last time, they definitely controlled Emperor and the others, which made Emperor and the others extremely angry. However, the gap in strength still made them helpless, even though they were much stronger now. They appeared in the 2nd level before, but they didn't expect to be in the 3rd level now. When Wu Yu arrived, Ling Han stopped, and Wu Yu also asked Silver Moon Mantis to come back first. There was no point in fighting him at this time. Emperor Yu and others were really in trouble in their hands. Fortunately, at this time, the Yuan Zhejian is missing from their team. It seems that Yuan Zejun has not joined them since last time. After all, Yuan Zejun has nothing to lose. I wonder who it is. There was such a big movement and killed so many gods of all things along the way. It is indeed you. It's a pity that this time, the people from the Baiming clan are not with you anymore. Xianxing was the most active, having just seen Wu Yu they couldn't help but laugh sweetly. Looking at her laughter, they definitely felt like they had a chance to win. Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi, and the small firefly on Wu Yu's shoulder all appeared here to confront them. The Liwen tribe was headed by Lei Bao. When Lei Bao saw Wu Yu, lightning suddenly burst in his eyes. He roared in a low voice, "Wu Yu, you are so unlucky to meet us again. It's true that heaven and earth have eyes. We young master Lei Suifeng was killed by you. We will definitely avenge this today. To be honest, there is a way to heaven but you don't take it, and there is no way to hell. You broke in. Without the protection of the people from the Baiming clan, you actually did it. You dare to act alone in this third level. We originally lost confidence in finding you, but when we were about to give up, you just came out to die. How wonderful! Our young master is so lucky." They checked their surroundings and found that there was no Baiming clan, and now they had kidnapped Emperor Yu's son. This situation made them extremely excited. Of course they didn't dare to kill Emperor Yu, but no one except Emperor Yu could think of a good ending today. Especially Wu Yu, who killed Lei Suifeng and Ling Yi. Ling Han himself was entrusted by the demon lord Fuling to take care of Ling Ai. Now that Ling Ai has returned to the west, he has a heavy responsibility. Of course, he is full of murderous intentions towards Wu Yu. At this time, he returned to the crowd and glanced at Wu Yu and Emperor Yu coldly. Zi and others suddenly showed extremely shocked expressions and exclaimed, "How could you have made so much progress in just 1 month? You have all reached the realm of asking. You are all less than 50 years old, right? Oh my God, how is it possible?" He was the first to find out. What? This discovery made them extremely surprised. Even Lei Bao and the others were a little confused at this time. The realm of Ling Han and the others could not escape their eyes, and they could not escape it now either. It's impossible to cross the realm of 3 and 4 levels. Xianxing opened his red lips slightly with an incredulous look on his face. What have you experienced? We can't be wrong. Of course, they were surprised. At least as for the Emperor, whether they had made great progress or not had nothing to do with whether they could escape from this hijacking. Anyway, he is still no match for middle-aged people such as the Liwen clan. Their surprise lasted for more than 10 breaths, and their eyes were still wide open. Finally, the Emperor said, "Perhaps by this time, you will know who is the real chosen one." Perhaps, he knew that the ancient Emperor had not chosen anyone. However, he believed that if he used this method to get off the line, maybe the ancient Emperor would still appreciate him. At least the opponents he faced were stronger than him. Emperor Yu's words really shocked them. Of course, it couldn't change their murderous intention towards Wu Yu. National football match today. During the victory over South Korea a few days ago, the lunatic was at the scene, and the charm of the football match erupted amidst the roars of tens of thousands of people at the scene. Today we face Iran, the #1 team in Asia. Keep up the good work. One update today, more updates tomorrow. The madman went to watch the game. /U003 sem /U003e. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: Mystery and Suspense, Ancient Tomb Horrors. Event final countdown to Online Literature League selection. Special topic: complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003c/m /U003e. If, q.storage, read type, equal to /U0026 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003c0. /U003 CSCR plus IPT SRC equals add /V, 8 equals H5 minus 01 /U003 E /U003 C /SCR plus IPT /U003 E. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1076. For people like Linghan and others, it took them hundreds of years to finally reach their current state. Ron N. R. A. N. N. They know deeply how difficult it is to break through several levels in succession in such a realm. It is absolutely impossible. The key is that this is not one person who breaks through several levels in a row, but a group of people. In this case, the difficulty will be increased dozens of times. That is even more impossible. The absolutely impossible thing happened, which only shows that only the ancient emperor can do it. This is the reason why a group of them were shocked after Emperor Zi said it. This made the Liwen clan couldn't help but relax a little, worried that they might accidentally kill Emperor Yu's son. Judging from the current situation, they feel to some extent that there seems to be an aura around Emperor Yu, and it seems that fate has chosen him. For all living beings, the ancient emperor is already destiny. It was precisely because of this that he had good luck and survived many catastrophes. This time, he made rapid progress. Some people even suspected that everyone in the ancient Soul Tower was like a stepping stone set by the ancient emperor for the emperor's son. This will inevitably make them a little hesitant. Linghan narrowed his eyes and said, "Stop talking nonsense, the person who gets the Yanhuang gold pearl is the new Yanhuang emperor. Furthermore, we are not targeting Emperor Yu's son, but the one who killed my nephew, and young master Donjus Wu Yu." It was impossible for them to be scared away by Emperor Yu at this time. After all, this is what the emperor said. They had seen the world for hundreds of years and were not easily fooled, and it was not easy for them to catch them. Before this, they had already discussed that after leaving the ancient Soul Tower, the only way to explain to the floating demon lord and the East Yu's territory lord was to kill the murderer Wu Yu. Otherwise, they would be in trouble. Especially Lei Bao and the other five, they are not the younger brothers of the lord of Donjus. Now, this determination cannot be changed. The only possibility of change is that Lei Bao and the others no longer torture Emperor Kairu and the others with thunder. Among them, Lei Bao, who controls Emperor Cao, only traps Emperor Cao and does not let him at all. The emperor felt uncomfortable, and he said to the emperor, "Emperor, I am offended, but our young master died tragically at the hands of Wu Yu. If this revenge is not avenged, we cannot explain it to our domain lord, and I am even more sorry. He takes great care of us." They chose a compromise. Because of this earth-shattering progress, they chose to fear Emperor Yu, but they couldn't let go of their hatred, so they chose to deal with only Wu Yu and the three of them. They all know that Wu Yu and the others are divided into two small groups, one belongs to Emperor Yu and the other belongs to Wu Yu. Now they have to deal with Wu Yu. Killing to pay for life is a matter of course. No Baiming clan will come to save you this time. Linghan knew that it was time for a quick victory. He had actually seen many people watching from a distance. The news of Yu's battle just now also attracted the attention of others. They may know that the blood tree exists nearby, so they are curious about who is so bold and dares to challenge this blood tree. Wu Yu also glanced into the distance with his fiery eyes. There were already several groups of people around, but there was no Yanhuang tribe. Although there were many Yanhuang tribes coming in, most of them were stuck in the first level of the Soul Tower. After reaching the second level, the Yanhuang tribe no longer has any huge advantages. Wu Yu took a rough look and found that there were probably people from the Jinyao Central Empire and people from the Yunzong Fixian Kingdom. There are some monsters, and they are sea monsters. Judging from their appearance, They should be the sea monsters from the southernmost place, the Antarctic whirlpool. There are also several sea monsters from the Celestial Emperor's Thunder Pond. The relationship between these monks and the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, it is relatively light and relatively far away. As for the demons in the sea, it goes without saying that when the human race is fighting within, it is impossible for them to intervene. So although there were people watching, when they saw that Ling Han and his group were going to deal with a disciple and Wu Yu, who was in the limelight, they chose to watch the battle silently and occasionally discuss it. Of course they didn't dare to get close and only watched the battle from a distance, so they probably couldn't hear clearly what Wu Yu and the others were saying, but they could see clearly that Emperor Yu and the others were kidnapped first. I heard a few days ago that it seemed that this group of people ambushed Emperor Yu and others, causing Ling Yi, the son of Demon Lord Fu Ling, and Lei Suifeng, the young master of Dongyues, to be accidentally killed by Wu Yu. Originally, he wanted to kill Wu Yu for revenge, but the Baiming tribe saved Wu Yu. When we meet again this time, the Baiming tribe is no longer here. It seems that Wu Yu and his group are in danger. Yes, the emperor is under control. Do you think this group of people will kill all the emperors? It is said that this is a hotspot in the future. It's hard to say. The undead demon clan is a very vicious person. The people of Baolei think very highly of themselves. They want to be on par with the Yanhuang clan. What can't they do? But the two female sword fairies from the Tianqian Starry Sky Empire, know why you're with this group of people. They were far away and couldn't even see the great progress of Wu Yu and the others. They only knew that Wu Yu and the others were in a very critical situation. They had considered whether to come forward to help, so they wanted to take a favor from the emperor, but when they considering the gap between him and Ling Han, he still chose to give up. In the third level of the Soul Tower, Ling Han and the others can definitely walk sideways with their strength. Ling Han can reach the fifth or even sixth level of the Soul Tower. The main reason why I stayed here was to look for Wu Yu. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that there are still strong men like Emperor Yu or Shadow King who are still at low levels, but they are relatively rare. Therefore, it is obvious that the suspense of the onlookers now is not whether Wu Yu can escape, but whether the Baiming clan who protects them can still come this time. It is no longer a month ago. The competition for the Yanhuangju has reached a fever pitch. Many people have become red-eyed and do not consider the consequences. Many old and new grudges have even burst out together. On the contrary, Ling Han and his group were a little wary of Wu Yu's progress, so Ling Han said to the Liwen clan, "You take care of the returning emperor, and I will deal with this Wu Yu." Tang Wendao, a senior who is at the 6th level of the realm and has practiced Taoism for nearly 500 years, actually wants to personally attack Wu Yu, who in his opinion is just a kid, because he knows very well that Wu Yu can no longer have any way to escape. Only by leaving this place with Wu Yu's head could his brother spare his life. Wu Yu's instant killing of Ling Yi had made him miserable for the past month. There are several great demons and demon kings around him who are all the demon kings of the undead demon tribe. Their cultivation levels are at the 4th and 5th levels of the Dao realm. The undead demon tribe is the strongest group among them. Ling Han personally dealt with Wu Yu, so Xian Xing and the other undead demon clan were left, and they didn't want to be idle. They were preparing to join forces to take down Nanshan Wanjiao and the others. Unexpectedly, at this juncture, Nanshan Wanjiao was still so bold. With his eyes narrowed and a face full of teasing, he said to Wu Yu, "Brother, this is so hard for you. You actually want to have a romantic relationship with this old guy. My treatment is different. I choose these twin sisters. Look at this, the two of them are exactly the same, but one is cold and the other is hot. The most wonderful thing in the world is to sleep with them. If these two young ladies are willing to serve the young master well, then I will not practice this immortal. You two young lady, are you willing to catch me?" Nanshan Wanjiao winked at them and immediately ran to the left, seemingly trying to escape first. There was also a frivolous meaning in his words, which made Xianchen naturally feel unhappy. In recent years, many people have tried to possess their sisters, but they all ended up very miserable. Nanshan Wanjiao seemed too full of confidence. In fact, in their eyes, this is running away. This coward actually escaped first. You members of the Necromancer clan and the Liwen clan, our sisters will help you bring his head back. Then, the previous agreement is invalidated, and we can act separately. How about it? Xianxing waiting for the opinions of Linghan and Liwen clan. Nanshan Wanjiao seemed to have run far away, but they were not in a hurry. Their sisters were all at the 5th level of the realm, and they were full of confidence in themselves. Go ahead, but this is not a human head, but a pig's head. Linghan waved his hand. In his opinion, except for Wu Yu, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were small fish, but because they were slightly less involved with Emperor Yu, they deserved more death. On the contrary, Xuanhuan and the others, because they were the real Yanhuang tribe, they took action. A little afraid. It is not a pity for them to have a demon and a ghost cultivator. That's it, our sisters, Byran, will bring back this shameful and ugly head of the wild boar. Xianxing smiled tenderly and stepped on his sword. This was the sword flying in Wu Yu's memory. A wild boar dares to look at us like this, so dig out his eyes first. Xianchen's eyes were cold, his face was full of disgust and disgust. There was only a strong murderous intent in his eyes, and of course there was a sense of superiority, as if in her eyes, Nanshan Wanjiao looked really dirty and smelly. Don't worry, sister, eyeballs are a trivial matter. If this wild boar dares to talk nonsense and be disrespectful to us, then first I have to cut off his tongue and let him swallow it for me. Xianxing chuckled, and the two of them twisting her slender waist. Her delicate body is slightly curved, showing perfect curves, especially the curves of her buttocks, which are even more intoxicating. They drove the divine sword and accelerated suddenly. Although Nanshan Wanjiao escaped for a while, it was obvious that their speed could definitely catch up with him. Come on, this ghost cultivator and us brothers are left, let's play to death. Slowly the remaining grey-skinned and ferocious-looking undead monsters looked at Yezixi and couldn't help laughing. They all strong and huge, Yezixi looks thin and pitiful, and the lazy cat in her arms is also pitiful. Don't waste time, come on, Linghan said in a low voice, and the others suddenly became serious. /U003 sem /U003e. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: Mystery and Suspense, Ancient Tomb Horrors. Event: Final countdown to Online Literature League selection. Special topic: Complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003c/m /U003e. If, q.storage, read type, equal to /U002.6 /U002.6, VIP chapter /U003c0, /U003c SCR plus IPT SRC equals add/V, 8 equals H5-01 /U003E /U003C SCR plus IPT /U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1077. Over at Nanshan Wanjiao, Wu Yu was not worried at all. R. A. N. N. R. A. N. E. N. O. R. G. Those two women were beautiful but ruthless, and they had to pay the price, especially when Xianchen asked Lei Suifeng to cheat on Ye 11, Wu Yu had murderous intentions at that time. As for Linghan, the floating spirit beast at the 6th level of the Three Disasters Dao realm, we basically have to wait and see. But he would definitely not let Yezixi deal with so many strong men of the undead demon clan alone, so at this time, the dreamy fireflies, which were equivalent to the 6th level of the Wen Dao realm, were flying next to Yezixi. The Linghan descended in front of Wu Yu's eyes, and when the others surrounded Yezixi with sinister smiles on their faces, Wu Yu's sky-devouring body with white hair and bloody eyes came out of the fusion tower. When everyone saw the sky-devouring body at this moment, especially the floating spirit beast, they felt invisibly shocked and gloomy. The fatal feeling made Linghan stop at this moment, and after swallowing the blood tree among them, the body of swallowing the sky is strong again. He has reached the point where his soul is basically equal to his body. Now, for him, using 3 kinds of spiritual tools can only be said to be more than enough. The long white hair was flying in the wind, and the blood-colored eyes seemed to be dripping blood all the time. He was holding Beiming Emperor K in one hand, and the blood-stop sword in the other. The 2 swords were held horizontally, and in the blink of an eye he had Yezixi stood together, and then he pulled Yezixi back together, separated from Wu Yu's body, and pulled the battlefield to the other side. At this time, the sky-swallowing body said, "You old guys, let's work together to bully one little girl. It's really shameful, but it seems that you are used to being shameful, so let's go together." "It's a bluff, kill his clone too." Linghan focused his eyes and pointed with his hand. The other undead monsters were ordered to surround him. In fact, they still didn't see the most terrifying weapon over there. That's Dream Firefly. 2 beings who are comparable to the 6th level of the Dao realm, plus Yezixi who can also kill the 5th level of the Wen Dao realm, it is definitely more than enough to deal with them. From the beginning today, Wu Yu is not weak. One side. Before Linghan, the group of people fought with Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body and Yezixi. For the time being, Dream Firefly did not make a move, but attached to Yezixi's body. The silver moon praying mantis next to it did. Participating in the fight, in fact, even Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body didn't use all his strength. These undead monsters were just training for Yezixi, so the only one who really tried his best to fight was Yezixi. She really needs training. However, others could not see that Wu Yu was showing mercy, they would only think that they were evenly matched. But the problem is, even if they are evenly matched, it is already terrifying enough. When the onlookers saw that Yezixi could block the attacks of 2 strong men at the 5th level of the Wenwen realm, they couldn't believe their eyes. Why is this ghost cultivator so powerful? More powerful than Wu Yu. How is this possible? Wu Yu's clone seems to be only capable of being beaten, but she can withstand the attacks of 2 strong men. Those 2 undead monsters are at least the 3rd in the realm. Go to the 5th level. They even transformed into their true bodies. I know them. They are definitely at the 5th level of the Dao realm. One is a dead sea giant squid and the other is a deep sea lantern ghost. In their field of vision, a huge dead gray squid was wrapped around countless big trees. There were countless small holes in its body, all like volcanic craters. Its huge mouth also looked extremely ferocious, almost turning the surrounding area into an ocean, and there is also a demon fighting Yezixi. It is an ugly fish. Half of its body is made of bones and flesh. The most obvious thing is that there is a tentacle at the head of the fish. Pick it up, and then hang a bright lantern on it. Although it is a lantern, it is also a part of its flesh and blood. At this time, the flames are beating inside the lantern. The natal magical power of a demon in this realm is quite difficult to deal with. It was indeed difficult for Yezixi to deal with them alone, but she never expected that from the beginning to now, Yezixi would appear and disappear in this fierce battle, and even transform into a sandstorm, making her opponents unable to find her at all. Existence. There was huge fighting noise behind him, which caused many trees to fall to the ground and fall into chaos. The battlefield became larger and larger, causing the onlookers to continue to retreat to the outside. However, Wu Yu could see with a simple sweep. There were more people than before, and there were also a few Yanhuang tribesmen. But seeing such a big battle, they knew they were not strong enough and did not dare to come forward. No matter how strong this ghost cultivator is, it doesn't matter how talented he is. After all, The real strong one is the floating spirit beast. Wu Yu will definitely not be able to stop him, someone else said. There is no doubt that people were shocked by Yezixi's horror, but they still knew what kind of existence Ling Han was, and there were still people from the Liwen clan who didn't take action. Their young master was also killed by Wu Yu. How brave, how dare you kidnap our emperor's son, several Yanhuang tribesmen shouted angrily from a distance, all of them middle-aged. However, depending on the situation, they did not dare to come forward and face the Liwen tribe, so they could only stand in the distance, yelling and scolding everywhere. But this did remind Ling Han. He was also surprised by Yezixi's performance just now. He was a little dazed. During this time, Wu Yu had transformed into a 6-foot-tall golden fairy ape in front of him. He was violent and domineering. The terrifying pressure was absolutely overwhelming. This made Ling Han a little confused, but it also set off his murderous intent. He raised his finger to act as a sword blade. At this moment, without saying a word, a strong murderous intent burst out in his eyes. When the finger poked Wu Yu, an almost transparent but extremely huge and sharp super sword energy was born and burst out instantly. In people's opinion, Wu Yu could not dodge at all. His throat was pierced by the sword energy. Wow, people imagined that Wu Yu's neck would definitely be pierced and cut off directly, and his head would fall to the ground. Dang! Unexpectedly, when it hit, it made such a sound. At this time, Wu Yu's head was motionless, and his face did not change at all. People looked carefully and found a white mark on Wu Yu's neck. At this time, Wu Yu smiled and asked, Ling Han, your weak move, is it your boring test, or do you only have this little strength? Arrogant. People were simply conquered by Wu Yu's domineering. At this moment, people were still a little stunned, because the situation was a little different from what they imagined. Except for Nanshan Wanjiao who ran away, it seemed that Ling Han and the others should have crushed them, but at this moment, it felt that except for Ling Han, they were suppressed. Even at this time, even Ling Han was a little stunned. As Wu Yu was speaking, he pushed the burning heaven pillar in his hand forward. During the pushing process, the burning heaven pillar quickly became thicker and larger. With one push, it directly reached Ling Han's eyes, like a mountain crashing. Buzz! With one blow, a halo appeared in front of Ling Han, protecting him, but the halo shattered instantly, and Ling Han was also blown away, directly knocking a huge tree 100 feet thick and making a hole. Wow! This was even more noisy, because it was too obvious that Ling Han attacked Wu Yu but had no effect at all, and Wu Yu just used the weapon to push forward, which made the famous floating spirit beast in the deep sea so embarrassed. This completely proved that Wu Yu already had the strength to fight against this floating spirit beast. When Ling Han appeared in front of Wu Yu again, he, like all the onlookers, had a deep shock in his eyes, because he knew that the strongest existence in this group was still Wu Yu. Use your strongest ability, and stop looking at me with such a shocked expression. In your situation, you may not be able to leave me alive today, so don't even think about how I can do this. If you can understand, you will not be defeated by me. Wu Yu pointed the burning heaven pillar at Ling Han, and his words were like thunder, roaring in people's ears. These words were extremely arrogant, but from Wu Yu's current situation, people did not feel that way. On the contrary, in this comparison, the floating spirit beast seemed relatively thin. Young man, if you have good fortune, you should avoid being proud. Many people like you did not live to become immortals in the end. However, Ling Han was not a pushover. After being unexpectedly dominated by Wu Yu just now, he quickly regained his composure. In fact, his eyes were a little strange, and there was no pupil, only the white of his eyes. I didn't expect Wu Yu to become so powerful. This is simply, are they all crazy, this group of people? Why do I see that Emperor Le seems to have reached the realm of asking for the way? There were dozens of people watching, but now they were basically stunned. In this situation, their minds were blank, and they could only keep echoing Wu Yu's domineering words. Of course, Ling Han's response was also domineering, but compared with Wu Yu, it was still a little weaker. But Ling Han's performance was still amazing. At least there were not many strong men like him in the second level of the Soul Tower. When he really valued Wu Yu, he really chose to change his body, and in the strongest posture, he treated Wu Yu as a tough top opponent to fight. At this time, his body suddenly seemed to change into liquid, and then quickly grew larger. In a blink of an eye, between the forests, in front of Wu Yu, it seemed that a huge ocean appeared. This ocean was the body of the floating spirit beast, but this was not a real ocean. This was the body of the floating spirit beast. Its body was completely transparent, and it was not water that filled his body, but his Taoism and Purple Palace energy. If Wu Yu was big enough, he could really see the full picture of the floating spirit beast. Now he could only feel that there was an ocean in front of him. In fact, he grew up by the sea and should be very familiar with this creature. This is a kind of jellyfish. That's right, the floating beast is a jellyfish. Of course, this is not the jellyfish Wu Yu saw in the East China Sea. This is a jellyfish as huge as an ocean. This is a floating beast, and Wu Yu is as small as dust in front of it. /U003 sem /U003e. Special topic preview of the hottest serialized novels. Book list reasoning suspense, ancient tomb thriller. Activity final countdown to the selection of the Online Literature League. Special topic complete classics, no need to follow up. /U003c/m /U003e. If, q.storage, read type, equal to /U0026 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003c0, /U003c SCR plus IPT SRC equals add/V, 8 equals H5 minus 01 /U003E /U003C/SCR plus IPT /U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1078. This is almost the most powerful opponent Wu Yu has ever encountered. R-A-N-E-N. If it were in the endless sea, this floating giant beast would definitely be able to exert terrifying combat power beyond its own strength. However, this is not the sea, but a forest. Of course, Wu Yu would never underestimate his opponent. After all, the opponent had cultivated to this level and was also a terrifying overlord in the sea. Moving such a huge body in the sea was quite terrifying. After the opponent transforms into his true form, the attack will follow. Floating Spirit Mengsheng. The most difficult thing about a demon is always its own magical power, and this floating giant beast seems to be no exception. When Wu Yu found some ding-dong sounds coming from its body, he knew that the other party had already used it. His natal magical power is over. Wu Yu, there are 3 magical powers that I know about the floating spirit monster, namely, floating spirit dream, endless living creatures and undead glare. It probably uses floating spirit dream, which is a terrible hypnotic magical power. When used, can make all creatures in a large sea area fall into deep sleep. The other 2 are very powerful attacking magical powers, and this much is known for the time being. Emperor Yu was quite attentive and spoke loudly to Wu Yu so that Wu Yu could hear him. Hypnosis. Sure enough, soon, a ghostly voice came from the body of the giant floating beast. The voice was very shallow, even very pleasant, as if it directly led to the soul. When he heard the first sound, Wu Yu felt very peaceful, unable to feel any anger in his heart, and even the enthusiasm and blood for fighting were disappearing. At the same time, he was making up reasons for himself to give up. This was a negative state of mind, and it was definitely the result of the opponent's magical power. Brought by Fuling Mengsheng. He is very alert. Fire Wonderland. In order to fight against this natal magical power, Wu Yu immediately used his magical power. This is the most effective attack against aquatic creatures such as the floating giant beast. In addition, the opponent's body is huge and there is no way to dodge. When the Eye of Heaven and the Eye of Earth explode, when the raging pillar of fire was roasting the floating spirit beast from above and below, Wu Yu could clearly see that the floating spirit beast was struggling and shrinking. It was obviously traumatized, but the danger was that the opponent's floating spirit dream was still not there. Disappeared. Wu Yu has never been so sleepy since he started practicing Taoism. The magical power is really terrifying. Wu Yu had to lament that this opponent was very strong, but unfortunately he had a more terrifying move, which was the somersault cloud. When he felt that it was difficult to resist, he directly used the somersault cloud, somersaulted, and jumped to a distant place. Far away, but even though it was far away, he only went from the front to the back of the floating spirit beast. He just left the area that the floating spirit beast focused on controlling. Wu Yu suddenly became more awake. He knew that by staying awake, he must attack immediately. Whoosh! He rushed to the other side of the floating beast, and the burning sky pillar in his hand rose into the sky. Wu Yu held the burning sky pillar with both hands, and almost transformed the burning sky pillar to its maximum, which was countless times higher than him. He was like an ant holding a chopstick, but this ant was so powerful. The burning sky pillar, which was almost comparable to some giant trees, fell from the sky with raging flames and slammed into the floating giant beast. Tear. After being hit by Wu Yu from the front, the magical power of the floating spirit beast disappeared, and it itself let out a ferocious scream. Wu Yu's power of the burning sky pillar triggered the 9 tribulations burning sky prison breaking array, and that shattering power, the explosion, hitting it, immediately caused the huge body of the floating spirit beast to explode, and then shrink violently, until only 3/4 of its original size remained. It is said that the bigger the floating spirit beast is, the stronger its strength is. Wu Yu basically destroyed a lot of his strength. He was the original power of the Zifu added to the power of the physical body. At this time, his power was fully revealed. People were stunned to see such a scene. Wu Yu's current battle was simply a performance. The floating spirit monster was very big, but this was not the ocean. His size looked like a burden. On the contrary, Wu Yu was like an ant fighting an elephant. Of course, Ling Han knew that Wu Yu must be suppressed at this time. His second natal magical power suddenly exploded. Unexpectedly, his transparent body could still show such light, as if his body was ignited. The transparent jellyfish suddenly turned into a bright blue light source, like the moon hitting the forest. This harsh light converged into a beam, forming a giant pillar of light, blasting towards Wu Yu. Come. I don't know if this is the magical power of endless living beings or the magical power of the dazzling light of the undead. For the time being, I guess it is the dazzling light of the undead. Such magical power made Wu Yu obviously see that the other party was anxious, and he was impatient, and even had a kind of hatred towards him. Fear. At this time, facing this undead glare, some people did seem that Wu Yu would be hit or even die, but Wu Yu was smiling. He not only suppressed Ling Han in terms of combat power, but also in terms of expression. The same was true. At this time, he dropped the burning sky pillar. It looked like he was abandoning his armor. However, he turned back and turned around. At the moment when the undead glare turned him into ashes, he turned around again. Disappear in front of people's eyes. After using the somersault cloud to become extremely familiar, practice makes perfect, and Wu Yu was basically invincible in battle. The opponent's attack was terrifying. It had actually hit Wu Yu, causing some turmoil in Wu Yu's body. Some of his flesh and blood would even turn into ashes. However, he still left. When he returned, his injuries were actually healed. That's almost it. So much so that Ling Han desperately believed that what he thought was a terrifying blow did not hurt Wu Yu at all. Although Wu Yu couldn't see his expression, he knew that this guy was panicking now. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Because the moment Wu Yu left, his dream fireflies had already reached the top of the floating beast. Although Wu Yu's body is powerful now, he knows his own weaknesses. He lacks some attack methods, so for the time being he can only use the fireflies of dream fireflies. The fire god slaying formation is here to make up for it. After the undead glare, countless green fluorescent lights fell down, staining the huge and irresistible body of the floating spirit beast, and then gradually melted it, turning into dead water and falling. What was heard at this time there was only that Ling Han scream. When the floating spirit giant beast was covered with green fluorescent light, as if it was corroded, and its body continued to shrink, people fully understood that the floating spirit giant beast Ling Han was completely defeated, and at this time, Wu Yu's body coming again, the burning sky pillar violently bombarded the jellyfish under the bombardment of the Yinghuo god-killing formation, giving it another painful beating. As Wu Yu's opponent, Ling Han was in a state of distortion at this time and could only beg for mercy. Wu Yu, I lost. I realized my mistake. I gave up. I am no match for you. You won. That's it? Although he begged for mercy, this guy still had a tough attitude, so Wu Yu only responded with a sneer. The Yinghuo god-killing formation had already been used, and he couldn't control it. After all, it was a magic circle. After the Yinghuo's continuous explosions, below, the giant floating beast screamed and was quickly annihilated. Wu Yu. How dare you kill someone? You are dead. We, the undead demon clan, will not let you go. At the last moment, the other party could only shout threats angrily in an attempt to scare Wu Yu, but Wu Yu could not. You have gone through this trick to this extent, and the other party will not let you go even if he dies. In this case, it is better to send him to the west first. Buzz. The giant floating beast exploded into pieces. At this moment, countless people were nervous and dumbfounded. From then on, Wu Yu acted lightly. Of course, at this time, the undead monsters who were fighting separately were very panicked and wanted to go back to save Ling Han, but Wu Yu's sky-devouring body over there had not yet been used. Now Ling Han was completely at a dead end. These people were extremely vicious. When a person wants to take away his own life, it means that Wu Yu can't show any mercy to his life. This is his way. The world is so big that ascetics rob, kill, and fight for it in this world. The opportunity to become an immortal. Cultivation means plundering, but only by being strong can justice be achieved. He never backs down from a fight. It is also true that when Ling Han died, his sky-swallowing body exerted its power and sent other undead demon clan back to the west one after another. The reason why the undead demon clan has this name is because they dominate a sea area and act cruelly and domineeringly. Countless wronged souls under the sea are all given by them. They are like ghost cultivators of demons. On the other side, Yezixi had already killed the giant dead sea squid with her own efforts. The remaining deep-sea lantern ghost was also dying. In the end, Wu Yu's sky-devouring body took care of him. All in all, it took only a short moment. The entire army of the undead demon clan was wiped out, and no one was left. Now everything is in a mess, but Wu Yu and Yezixi gathered together, and the dreamy fireflies also fell on Wu Yu. At this time, Wu Yu looked at Lei Bao and the others. Want to die or live? Wu Yu asked them. Lei Bao took a deep breath, controlled his trembling legs, looked at Wu Yu and said, Your Excellency is truly a unique miracle in the Jambu world for countless thousands of years. We are willing to bow down. At this time, anyone with a little bit of brains knew they had to run away quickly. They were lucky that they were the ones to kidnap the emperor and the others, rather than letting them do it first. The Liwen clan fled in a hurry and suddenly lost their whereabouts. Wu Yu and the others were the only ones left here, as well as the others who couldn't move away and were stunned. They were actually a little scared, but after all, they thought that they had no conflict with Wu Yu, so they were not in a hurry to escape. I have to say that Lei Bao is right. After listening to the ancient emperor's sermon, your progress is really terrible. Xuanhuan looked at Wu Yu and admired him sincerely. Although Chu Fengjiao and the others didn't say anything, they were definitely in the same mood now. Wu Yu looked at Emperor Yu and said, "This ancient soul tower may still not be enough, but this time, we can continue to go up and see the fourth, fifth, and even higher levels of the soul tower." Wu Yu was finally willing to go up, and Emperor Yu was relieved. "How is it over there at Nanshan?" asked the emperor. He hadn't come back yet, but Wu Yu guessed that the problem wouldn't be big, so he said, "Just wait for him for a while." The others left quickly at this time. They were afraid that Wu Yu would cause trouble for them if they continued to watch. Even the Yanhuang tribe did not dare to come up because they were worried that Wu Yu would think that they had not helped just now. After a while, Nanshan Wanjiao came back with a glowing face, feeling particularly comfortable, and his legs felt a little weak. "Where are they?" Wu Yu asked. Nanshan Wanjiao smiled faintly and said, "They all voluntarily bowed down under my pomegranate pants, Grandpa, and now they are having endless aftertaste." /U003 sem /U003e. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: Mystery and Suspense, Ancient Tomb Horrors. Event: Final countdown to Online Literature League selection. Special topic: Complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003c/m /U003e. If q.storage, read type, equal to /U026 /U026, VIP chapter /U003c0, /U003c SCR plus IPT SRC equals add/V, 8 equals H5-01 /U003E /U003c SCR plus IPT /U003E. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1079. That is to say, Nanshan Wanjiao did not kill them. Anan? R-A-N-E-N-O-R-G? These two are indeed cruel, arrogant, and indifferent. Evil people will naturally be dealt with by more evil people. Nanshan Wanjiao is the more evil person. However, his evil also has its own way. In addition, his illusion technique has reached the pinnacle. Maybe those two are really more memorable than him now. Hey, Emperor, if I hadn't helped you fight for the Yanhuang gold pearl, I wouldn't want to leave. These two young ladies are so gentle. They just pulled me and didn't want me to leave. They said that they will be my people in the future, and I can do whatever I want with them. Nanshan Wanjiao smiled meanly. Emperor, you said with a smile, that's great. Let them come along. They are not weak anyway and can help a lot. You won't be lonely on your journey. Nanshan Wanjiao heard this and laughed awkwardly. Forget it. No matter how beautiful a beauty is, I won't go back. Let me and them live in our own memories. I have been through the world, but the truth is in my heart. Shameless, you better shut up. Seeing his boastful look, Yezixi was unhappy. Oh, the little girl hates me. I'll stop talking. Nanshan Wanjiao laughed. A person's personality cannot be perfect. Wu Yu himself is not perfect, Nanshan Wanjiao is not perfect, and Yezixi is not perfect either. There will definitely be friction and collision. Everyone is special. However, this cannot change the fact that the three of them are of one mind and are firm and consistent in the face of major issues. At this moment, Xian Xing and Xian Chen really caught up with them. Their faces were flushed and their eyes were full of water. They were completely different from before. They kept asking Nanshan Wanjiao not to leave. Nanshan Wanjiao was so scared that he trembled. Without saying a word, he ran away first. Wu Yu naturally couldn't let them follow him, so before they arrived, he quickly controlled Le Daizi and the others and left here quickly to avoid them catching up and causing any love-hate relationship. At Wu Yu's current speed, it would be strange if they could catch up. When Wu Yu and the others disappeared here, many onlookers from all over the world came out of their indescribable feelings. Wu Yu is so scary. Of course, what's even scarier is Le Daizi and his group. I kind of believe that the ancient emperor might have chosen Le Daizi. Otherwise, Wu Yu wouldn't dare to kill people blatantly. You know, Ling Han and Ling Yi are both from the Dead Sea. The dead demon lord, the floating demon lord, etc. will definitely take revenge. But he's not afraid at all, which shows that he is fearless. Although this is only the third level of the Soul Tower, it is no longer the most popular place in the ancient Soul Tower, but the progress of Wu Yu and his group will definitely spread and shock many people. I just don't know if people outside know their huge changes so far. Sure enough, this ancient Soul Tower is still under the calculation of the ancient emperor. We are just a foil. Is the Yanhuang gold pearl destined to be given to Le Daizi? Although it seems that there is such a possibility, the ancient emperor's words are as firm as gold. I still don't believe that he will be unfair and tease us. It's useless to just guess. As for the truth, let's wait and see. Remember that the Yanhuang gold pearl appeared in the first 3 levels before, so we may not have no chance. It is said that it appeared several times above, but they didn't get it. The flame gold pearl kept appearing, making everyone feel that maybe they could get it. And they were sure that this was not an illusion. They had heard too many things about people who had missed the flame gold pearl. At this time, Wu Yu adjusted his direction and was heading to the 4th level of the Soul Tower. In the sky above the giant tree, in the void above the 3rd level of the Soul Tower, there was a strong wind, and countless strong winds condensed into emerald green blades. Tens of thousands of them kept flying in the sky, up and down, left and right. Occasionally, they would collide and explode directly, and bring strong shocks. In such a place, if you are not strong enough and force your way up, you will easily be cut into pieces. So some people stayed in the 3rd level of the Soul Tower and did not continue to go up. Basically, it was not that they thought there were more opportunities in the 3rd level, but that they did not have the ability to go up. The 4th level of the Soul Tower, the 5th floor, is the busiest place. Wu Yu originally could not reach here by his own strength, and even dared to go up, but now it is not the case. When he came to the crown of the giant tree, under the green blade wind, he was ready. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were ready to deal with this challenge alone, while Wu Yu was responsible for bringing Le Daizi and the others. This time, the 7-star Guardian formation might not be able to defend against so many green blade winds, but Wu Yu's speed was much faster. He basically used the law of heaven and earth to change his body to the smallest again, and then locked the 7-star Guardian formation with Beiming Emperor K. The 7-star Guardian formation was basically the smallest, and the 4 of Le Daizi squeezed together inside. Wu Yu was like an ant carrying an egg, and rushed into the sky where the blades were dancing wildly. Expand quickly. He just wanted to use the top speed to rush forward. Under his drag, even the 7-star Guardian formation turned into a phantom. Wu Yu had a speed faster than the flying green blade, and he was very flexible in dodging. If it weren't for the 7-star Guardian array, even these blades wouldn't be able to touch him at all. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. He dodged while moving up quickly. Inside the 7-star Guardian array, Emperor Yu and the others were pulled up and screamed in surprise from time to time, because they saw that the wind blade was about to hit the 7-star Guardian array, but Wu Yu was able to do so first every time. As if in anticipation, with a quick movement, the 7-star Guardian array and the green wind passed by. It is obvious this time that the pressure on the 7-star Guardian array is much less than the first level of Black Lightning last time. It was hit at least several times last time, but it has not been hit yet this time, and Wu Yu himself was hit by that. The green blade hit him once, but because of the powerful Zifu energy to resist it, just one attack was unable to break his defense. Whoosh whoosh. Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi followed him, dodging all the way. In fact, they could enter the 7-star Guardian array, but they are now more capable and want to get used to and control their current power. This will take a period of practice, so letting them rely on themselves today is quite effective. At least Yezixi has become more familiar with the use of power as he gets older. She has recently been improving her first magical power, Demonic Shadow Black Sand, and is still thinking about other magical powers. It is said that they are almost effective. When she masters the 4 magical powers to Wu Yu's level, it will be quite good. After all, she is the most advanced among the 3. In the 3rd level of the Soul Tower, the higher you go up, the faster and fiercer the crazy green blade winds are, and the number is getting larger and larger. They are very dense and difficult to avoid. This almost challenges Wu Yu's speed and strength. At the limit of his control, he was constantly changing, jumping up and down, and skillfully passed through the killing storm time and time again. Although he brought the 7-star Guardian array, in fact, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi were not so light. They were attacked several times each, but fortunately they could survive. If they went up, they would not be as good as Wu Yu. The body of the 9-turn Emperor Immortal and the body of Hell Reincarnation basically need to be restored. About a quarter of an hour later, among the violent wind knives, Wu Yu finally broke out of an extremely dense layer of blades and received several knives on his body. The important thing is that the 7-star guarding formation was only hit once from beginning to end. No problem, and then he rushed into the golden vortex. When he came out, there was already a piece of land under his feet. Immediately afterwards, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi also appeared beside them. They finally reached the 4th level of the Soul Tower safely, and they still relied on their own efforts. If I had known it would be such a troublesome thing, it would have been easier if I had asked Emperor Yu to take us directly to the 8th level and then dump him. Nanshan Wanjiao couldn't help but cry out in pain. He had several bloody scars on his body. Was grinning at this time. In fact, Yezixi also had some scars on her body, but this little girl may have endured it and didn't say a word, which was in sharp contrast to Nanshan Wanjiao's exaggeration. Wu Yu had no injuries on his body. He was relatively relaxed. At this time, he looked up at the 4th level of the Soul Tower and found that there was an endless grassland under his feet. The air was very peaceful. There was no sign of violence. It was peaceful. It's a bit like the 3rd level of the Soul Tower, but the 3rd level of the Soul Tower is the forest, which hides a large number of trees and gods of all things, but there are no gods of all things here. As for the sky, there is no sun, but there is a golden vortex similar to the 1st level. The center of the golden vortex is always directly above people's heads. No matter where people go, Wu Yu can vaguely see it from the vortex. There are several colors of lightning. Compared with the 1st level of only black lightning, the lightning here has several colors, and the density seems to have increased several times, and even the power has increased. To reach the 5th level of the Soul Tower, one must cross the Sea of Lightning again. Wu Yu thought for a moment. With his current level of strength, he might have more chances to reach the 5th level of the Soul Tower, so he told everyone, let's repair it, and then directly try to go to the 5th level. After all, this 4th level did not pose much of a threat to them, so they could just recover. This endless grassland, with cool breeze, can be said to be very comfortable, completely different from the chaos of the 1st and 2nd levels. Wu Yu's injuries healed quickly, but it took Yezixi and Nanshan Wanjiao a little time. /U003 sem /U003e. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list mystery and suspense, ancient tomb horrors. Event final countdown to online literature league selection. Special topic complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. \U003C/M/U003E. If, q.storage, read type, equal to \U0026/U0026, VIP chapter \U003C0. \U003CSCR plus IPT SRC equals add/V, 8 equals H5-01 \U003E \U003C/SCR plus IPT \U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1080. In about half an hour, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi recovered. Ran, Wenxiao, said. R.A.N.N. During this period, Emperor Yu asked Wu Yu if he was sure to go directly to the 5th level. Of course he wanted to go to a higher place. After the ancient Emperor Dao Palace, his goals were already bigger. Maybe he had no hope before. But now, he has the greatest determination to obtain the flame golden pearl and become emperor. I'm not sure, but you can give it a try. If it doesn't work, give up first and then think of a solution, Wu Yu said. After all, the iron-winged 7-star insect is a puppet equivalent to the 4th level of the Dao realm, and in this 4th level of the Soul Tower, most people have about the same combat power as the iron-winged 7-star insect, so they cannot reach the 5th level, let alone the 5th level. The main purpose of the iron-winged 7-star insect is to protect Emperor Keiru and the others. Emperor Yu and the others have reached the realm of Taoism, but with their current strength, they may not even be able to go up to the 2nd level of the Soul Tower. They were able to get here purely because of Wu Yu. Now Emperor Yu basically leaves all actions within the ancient Soul Tower to Wu Yu. In fact, Ru Chu Fengyu was still a little timid and asked, "Isn't it too risky? If the 7-star guardian array is broken by the thunder, we will be in danger up there." Wu Yu glanced at her lightly and said, "Don't worry, even if you can't make it through, I won't let you get hurt." Wu Yu thought about the flame gold pearl. The treasures there are indeed valuable, and there are many Tianling Dao tools, but there are so many competitors, so he must stay relatively sober. Even though his strength is advancing by leaps and bounds now, he also knows that he is self-aware. He feels that it is useless to be anxious. He must wait for that opportunity to come. As for the emperor's son, it is just a matter of taking the throne for him. He is the envoy of the emperor. If he can become the emperor of Yanhuang, it will definitely be beneficial to him. Now the emperor is actually very grateful to Wu Yu. "If you're ready, go ahead and give it a try." "Good." Wu Yu repeated his old tricks, and everyone rushed into the sky together. When they reached about half the height of the golden vortex, Wu Yu sensed the existence of the crisis. When he looked to the south, he found a green cloud coming towards him at a very fast speed. He could vaguely hear many sharp whistling sounds from the cloud. As he got closer, he could hear it more clearly. He turned to take a look with his fiery eyes, and immediately frowned, realizing that these were not green clouds, but thousands of gods of all things. These gods of all things looked like a kind of bird, covered in green like knives. It has sharp feathers, its beak is sharp and its sleeves are long, like a long sword. It has 4 eyes on its head and 3 pairs of wings on its 2 ribs. The 3 pairs of wings are small at the front and rear and large in the middle. They are very sharp and are the largest wings. Unfolded, it is about 5 feet wide. This is not absolutely huge, but when thousands of them gather together and become quite dense, it will appear to be a lot at this time. They are like hungry beasts that have seen their prey and have locked onto Wu Yu and the others. A crazy impact came, and in a short time green clouds would cover Wu Yu and the others. Let me tell you, how can there be no risk in the 4th level of the Soul Tower? It may be fine on the grass, but as soon as you rush out, you will be locked by the gods of all things. This is the fourth level of the Soul Tower. These gods of all things are definitely stronger than the dark gold ants in the first level and the giant trees in the third level. The key is that there are so many that even Wu Yu has to fall to the ground quickly. Go, but before that, the opponent has already killed him. Wu Yu quickly asked two puppets to come out, Silver Moon Mantis and Dream Firefly. Silver Moon Mantis was mainly responsible for protecting the 7-star Guardian Array, while Dream Firefly was responsible for killing enemies. His body and the sky-devouring body also joined in the killing. As for the Emperor and the others followed the old rules and were responsible for watching the battle. The head-on collision was quite fast, and Wu Yu was instantly killed in a group with them. In fact, in terms of individual combat effectiveness, the green bird was slightly worse than the dark gold ants, but there were too many of them, and none of them were afraid of death. The sharp wings and the bird's beak is almost like a spiritual weapon, constantly piercing it, which also brings a lot of trouble. Under the resistance of Wu Yu and the others, the bird corpses continued to fall for the time being, but they were under great pressure, especially the Silver Moon Mantis, which was difficult to defend, so Wu Yu asked Dream Fireflies to protect the 7-star Guardian Array. Basically, they were moving forward, backward, left, right, up and down, surrounded by the green cloud. Wu Yu thought that if they were on the ground, at least they would not have to face the attacks from below, which would make it a lot easier, so he asked everyone to press down together. He focused on cleaning the green birds below, and the sky-swallowing body of the underworld sword Gyu swept away a large area. Then they quickly fell together until they landed on the ground, so that they only had to concentrate on facing the attacks above and around them. Leave it to me, Wu Yu's two bodies were on top, and Nanshan Wanjiao and the others formed a triangle to protect the 7-star Guardian Array in the center. The fight was fast and fierce. When they landed on the ground, Wu Yu was preparing to fight when he started to kill. He didn't expect that the green birds turned around and ran away the moment they landed. For a moment, they were safe. Strange, Wu Yu realized that this might have something to do with them landing on the ground. To confirm, when the large number of green birds were about to fly away, he rushed up to the sky again. Suddenly, the green birds became anxious again. They let out sharp screams, as if Wu Yu had killed their ancestors, and pounced together again. Wu Yu was so frightened that he immediately returned to the ground. They screamed in warning, and then swaggered away. There were too many of them, so they were so difficult to deal with, which gave Wu Yu a headache. He didn't expect that after practicing to this level, he would still be suppressed by the gods of all things. In fact, he could use extra-legal clones, but now his asking God the pills have been used up. Last time, Wu Yu grabbed a large amount of God-asking pills from the floating spirit beast and others. After giving them to Yezixi, Nanshan Wanjiao and others, he still had tens of thousands on hand, but in the blink of an eye, all of them were used on the extra-legal clones. There were too many clones, and each one could only get one, so it was not enough. He still needed more God-asking pills so that the extra-legal clones could grow to the limit. After all, this time he continuously clashed with the fourth realm, and he could also be an extra-legal clone. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. They landed on the ground, surrounded by bird corpses. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. Nanshan Wanjiao said depressedly, "Is there something wrong with these stupid birds? If they don't go up, they won't attack, so they won't let people go up into the air. That's how it should be. I'll try this to see if they can see it." Nanshan Wanjiao used heavenly domain to hide his body. When he appeared at the original height, there was no attack from all gods. Of course, this was all because of Nanshan Wanjiao's the magical power is powerful, but the key is that no one else has such magical power. So he still has to come back. What to do? Everyone looked at each other. If we force ourselves to rush upward at the fastest speed, these gods of all things may not be able to catch up, but it is possible that they will wait below, which will make our retreat downwards very dangerous. Wu Yu thought for a moment and said, I'll go and see how strong the lightning is in the golden vortex first, and then I'll make a decision. Okay, Emperor Zhu nodded. After all, he already knew whether Wu Yu would be able to continue going up after he went up. Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body is still down there, and he himself is very aware of any sudden risks. At this time, Wu Yu controlled the somersault cloud and rushed into the sky like a rocket at the fastest speed. This was his ultimate speed. When he rushed to 3/4 of the distance between heaven and earth, thousands of people in the distance, tens of thousands of green birds were alarmed again and roared towards them. This time they were faster, but they were not as fast as Wu Yu. In the blink of an eye, Wu Yu happened to rush into the golden vortex, and they only caught up to this position. However, as expected by Wu Yu, such a large green cloud and thousands of green birds and gods looked very angry. They kept screaming and protesting towards the sky, as if they were quite dissatisfied with Wu Yu's current situation. They stayed below, in a large area where Wu Yu might come down, waiting to be struck down by thunder. Of course, Wu Yu's attention is still in the golden vortex. A total of 5 colors of lightning appear in this vortex, namely blood red, purple, blue, black, and yellow, but the density of the lightning is more than 6 times that of the first level, and as he continues to go up, it becomes more and more dense, and it is estimated that it can reach 10 times. He is now terrifyingly fast, and his body is also small. He is faster and more flexible than lightning. So it would be no problem for him to reach the 5th level of the Soul Tower by himself. But if you have to take Emperor Yu and so many people with you, and you haven't decided on the magical power or the top Taoist weapon that can withstand these lightnings, it still won't work. If you have Emperor Yu's ancient soul-suppressing tripod, it might be possible, and if you have the burning Tianzu, transforming into the giant cauldron state is definitely not possible. The bombardment of so many lightnings is enough to destroy Fen Tianzu directly. So he stayed up there for a while and immediately came to the conclusion that with the density of lightning in the golden vortex, it would be easy for the 3 of them to go up there, but it would be absolutely impossible for them to take Emperor Kairu with them. So they still have to think of ways in this 4th level, or find ways to strengthen themselves. Now that Zi Mansion's UN power has come up, other aspects have reached a bottleneck, which is more difficult to handle. Wu Yu realized that he encountered many bottlenecks. For example, the 3rd level of somersault cloud seemed easy, but he had been thinking about it for a long time, but it still didn't work. Otherwise, he might be able to cross the Soul Tower. He fell down, and he knew that there was a green cloud below, and there were countless green birds. He was caught by surprise, and he rushed down immediately when he appeared. At his speed, which was less than half a foot tall, he was just behind like a loach. Wu Yu had already landed on the ground before those green birds saw him. He was also about to explain the situation to Emperor Ji when suddenly some voices came from behind. It was someone talking. /U003 SEM /U003E. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: Mystery and Suspense, Ancient Tomb Horrors. Event: Final countdown to Online Literature League selection. Special topic: Complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003C/M /U003E. If Q.storage, read type, equal to /U002/6 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003C0. /U003CSCR plus IPT SRC equals add/V, 8 equals H5-01 /U003E /U003C/SCR plus IPT /U003E.